Welcome to the Great News Podcast, where we are interviewing people who are making great news by making big, positive differences globally. They are here to inspire you with what is possible and empower you to help contribute to world peace and to the changes you want to see in the world.
Hello, I'm Rico Cavella, creator of the Ageless Living Lifestyle. If you are concerned about premature aging and you want to avoid disease and old age, and you want to live a more healthy, energetic, and vital long life, I have proven solutions for you. So number one, go to agelesslivinglifestyle.com and take our aging quiz to see how well you are doing. And number two, book your free coaching session with me to discuss your wellness challenges, and I promise to get you going on the right track. You can transform your health and your life, and I can help. Hello, this is Rico Cavella. I want to welcome you to this episode of the Great News Podcast, where my guests and we want to let you know that there really is a lot more good news than there is bad news out there. And there's so many people that are doing a lot of great things to make positive changes in the world. And that we as humanity, we actually are progressing, and we will eventually create peace and harmony on planet Earth. And that this is actually our divine purpose. I think it's really our primary reason for being here. But how long it's going to take just depends on how soon enough people believe that this will happen and realize that we're all brothers and sisters on this planet. It doesn't matter where you live, what country you're in, what culture you're in, what religion, what race. And actually, there's only one real race, the human race, right? I think that's an important thing for people to realize. So as soon as we begin to realize this and begin to treat everybody as brothers and sisters, can you imagine what an amazing, creative, fun, and world that we can create and enjoy? So that's what that's the idea, the concept that we're going to promote. So if you've been wondering what you can do right now to help see the changes that you want to see in the world, please go to treeofpositiveintentions.com, where you can post your positive intentions with others to create a powerful energy field that will help to change the hearts and minds of people globally. So please go to treeofpositiveintentions.com and tell your friends. So the title of this episode is Girls Matter. And my guest is Melissa Deely. She's an integrative mind-body health practitioner in Canada. And I just recently met Melissa. She was one of our guests on our Fearless Aging podcast. And we found out about her nonprofit that she's doing some great things with. So we're excited to have her on. So Melissa, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Rico. I'm excited to be back, and I love the title of the podcast, the Great News Podcast.
Yeah,
love it.
Okay, so that's why we're here. We're giving some great news. So I think let's begin with, I'd like to get your kind of perspective of really where we are right now as humanity, and maybe some ideas of how you think that we got here, and some ideas of what we really need to do that can really make some really positive changes in the world. So maybe just give us some ideas of your overview of how are we doing as humanity?
Well, coming out of this pandemic and the last 2 years, I have to say there's obviously been a lot of fear, and that fear has been driven by the media, which knows that if they tap into your fear, your natural sense is to pay attention, because your brain is charged with keeping you safe. Mm-hmm. And so it's always on the lookout for fear. And so if it's hearing dramatic music with the news and this story that we have to talk about over and over again, and it's all very dramatic, you get sucked into it. And that triggers fear in your body, but it also has you keep watching, which is what the media want, because that pays for their advertising dollars. Mm-hmm. And so that's been a huge problem for many years now. They know that, they prey on that. And my recommendation for people is stop watching the news. I tell everyone that, the great news show, yes, listen to the positive, but we need to release the negative. We need to release the fear. And you can still read the news online, and it's only coming in through one of your senses, and it doesn't have all the dramatic music. And so it doesn't trigger your nervous system the same way that watching it on television does. Or you can listen to it on the radio, and again, you're getting it through one sense, and it isn't triggering your nervous system the same way. And this was something that I learned and put into effect 20 years ago. And at first, I was worried about it, going, I'm not going to know what's going on in the world. Maybe I'll become a really boring person that doesn't have a clue, right? And I realized, you know what? You can turn off the television news, release that drama, release that fear, use that time instead to relax in the evening, calm your nervous system, and you will still know what's going on in the world because you will find it another way. I tend to read the news online, and I also listen to it on the radio, and that is much more calming on my nervous system. So let's get out of a place of fear. Another way to get out of a place of fear is fear often happens when there's this unknown or something that, we feel out of control with, right? So stop worrying about what you can't control and focus on what you can control. So that might mean focusing really into your life a little bit more. What can I control? I can control what time I go to bed. I can control what time I wake up. Sleep is really important to our health and also to helping us manage the stresses of our daily life. And there are stresses in our daily life, but if we're more rested and we're better capable in handling them, we can go through in a less stressed state, and we can feel happier and have more joy in our life.
Yeah. And also, as you said, we also can control what we believe and what we think.
Yes.
And how we feel and what we do. And that's the point that more people have to realize, that we're not just victims, that we can take responsibility for what we believe and what we think and how we contribute to make it a better world. And I was just thinking, yes, no question, fear and greed, as you mentioned, it's all about the money. Unfortunately, that's one of the biggest problems we have worldwide, with not only with governments, but corporations and people who are in control. It's all about the money, and that's why we have such inequalities. But from the beginning of time, I think it's also been fear, hasn't it? Since we've been on this planet for 200,000 years, people, because we've just been living in fear of each other, and that's why we haven't created a society of just everybody getting along and cooperating and helping each other. Don't you agree with that? Yeah,
I do agree with that. And a big part of fear comes from just lack of education, lack of understanding. The more we learn about each other, the more tolerance we can have for one another. And I love what you said, there is only one race, the human race. And so one way I have really spent my life learning and creating tolerance and sharing that with others is traveling and experiencing other people and other cultures, and really recognizing that we are one human race and we can all come together and, have love for the fellow man. And sure, we might have some differing opinions, but let's come together and talk about them, right? There's no one way that's the highway. Let's talk about it. Sometimes you might have to agree to disagree, but we can communicate about it. And that's what I believe is really important. And I teach that with my Girl Guides and take them traveling so they can see how other people live and have those experiences, because at the end of the day, that breeds tolerance. The other thing is, to your point about beliefs, is the power of our unconscious mind. And that's in my work. I use that a lot with my hypnotherapy and my timeline therapy training. And what we believe is, or where we put our focus based on our beliefs, is what we make happen. Right.
Yeah.
So if we're going to choose to live in fear, we create more fear. If we're going to choose to live in joy and happiness, we can create more joy and happiness. It's the old Henry Ford saying is, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. So you can believe you can heal, you'll heal. You don't believe you can heal, you're not going to heal. You might need some extra support on the healing side.
Yeah.
And that's where I help my clients. But first, they have to believe they can heal before I can do anything for them, because their mind is so powerful. And the other really fascinating thing that people may not realize in all of this is the thoughts that we have in our own mind, 70,000 thoughts going through our own mind every single day. The unconscious mind doesn't understand the negative. So as a really simple example, if we say to ourselves, don't let me forget my glasses, the unconscious mind will hear, let me forget my glasses. That's so how often are we saying I don't want, don't, or can't? The unconscious mind doesn't hear that. And then it gives you exactly what it is that you don't want because it's not hearing the don't part.
Right.
Right. And that happens a lot in people's lives as we try to move away from something we don't want. We keep saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's problematic for people.
Yeah. It's like the saying, you have to, we need to focus on what we do want, not what we don't want in our lives,
Exactly.
because what you're focusing on, what you're thinking about, that's the reality that you live in, So again, on the global scale, if you believe that, oh, that's just the way it is, that's human nature. We're always going to be fighting and having wars. Well, then you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. So, and if that's what you believe, well, then that's the reality that not only you live in, but that you're helping to create that. So I think it's like I say, it's just really about getting more education. And don't you think the good thing about the internet? Well, it's good, many really good things. There's some negative things, of course, as always, but it has brought people, together globally, so we can see what's going on, and more. I think more and more young people are beginning to realize, hey, we're just all people here, and we want to live in peace and prosper and enjoy everybody's different cultures. So I think more and more young people are really understanding that, and they're not going to go along with the old ways that we've been living, and how governments and big business keeps the fear going and keeps us up. They think that they have to protect us from somebody else.
Absolutely. And as an integrative health practitioner, I see the miracle of our human body every single day, and the fact that it's designed to self-heal. And, however, we've all been led to believe that we have to go to the doctor and get a pill in order to fix our body or help heal our health. And that's really the marketing of the big corporations, like you're talking about, big pharma, who really cares more about shareholder profit than human health. And the only way they can continue to grow shareholder profit is to keep telling people that they need a pill to fix the pill, to fix the pill, to fix, right? Because one pill brings up a symptom, you go back to the doctor, you need another pill. That's actually what they want, because that's how they drive revenues. Yeah. Versus when we educate ourselves and we come to understand how the human body works and it's designed to self-heal, we don't have to be dependent on that. And there's many other ways to achieve healing. And it's the same with being squashed down and feeling like, there's not enough money or I can never be wealthy. Yet the universe is so powerful and so beautifully laid out for all of us. There is abundance for everyone.
Yes.
We just need to release the greed, everyone get to that place of understanding and believing in abundance. And that belief is also a factor because it's impacting your mind. It's impacting those conversations you're having in your head every day. And therefore your outcomes, as you said, focus on what you want. When you truly know what you want and you're focusing on the ability to achieve that, and that there is abundance in the world, there is enough for everyone, that is where you get to achieve your goals and share it with everyone else. And nobody needs to be hoarding.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for.
We are.
And we realize, and I think it was the Maharishi way back in the 80s who started transcendental meditation. And I don't know how he came up with this idea, but he said something. It's only going to take 0.5% of the world population to believe in world peace, and then we can start creating it, and more people will come on board. So that's really what it's at. Once we put out that's why I created the tree of positive intentions, because our intentions are also energy, right?
They are.
And so when we have enough people out there with their positive intentions about the changes that they want to see in the world, whether it's in homelessness or animal protection, whatever that you're really interested in. But when we put them all together and create that positive energy field, that begins to affect other energy fields and affects other people's hearts and minds, and we will get some changes. So there's a lot of things that we can actually do, but like you said, it just individually is what we really can't change. Other people. We can do things to inform people, but we can't change anybody but ourselves, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to give an example from a scientific experiment that I read about in regards to the impact of energy fields, where some people might not really believe in the energy field or the power of them. But there was some research done, and I think it was off the coast of Russia, on monkeys. And these monkeys were on an island, and monkeys can't swim.
Oh, yeah.
And scientists were over there working with the monkeys, and the monkeys would just go about eating their food. And then the scientists actually, one of them washed his food before he ate it. And then it's that monkey see, monkey do, right? So the next day, the monkeys started washing their food. And the lead researcher was like, oh no, now we've, damaged our sample set here because the monkeys have copied us. And we have to go and find some more monkeys to work with that aren't washing their food. And so they went around to the other side of that same island, thinking they would work with the monkeys over there. And they hauled all of their research equipment over, only to find the monkeys on the other side of the island were washing their food. Well, the original monkeys could have traveled over. So they thought, okay, we have to go to another island with the monkeys because the monkeys don't swim, right? So then they knew there's no way these monkeys could have communicated with the other monkeys. And they went to another island and the monkeys were washing their food. And it's just the energy field too, is the connection between the monkeys, even though it's not physical, there's that energy field, it's the morphogenic field that's, we all impact each other in ways that we have no, real understanding of. And it's powerful.
Absolutely. I heard it just in a little bit different way. I heard it. Well, it's called the 100th monkey effect. I heard it known as the 100th monkey effect.
Right.
But I heard they said they were studying some monkeys. But I'm sure that maybe more than one study, of course. And the first monkey that started using like a bone to chop things or cut stuff up, and then all the other monkeys, all the other items start doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I think what the interesting thing about that is, now quantum physics has proven that also, because quantum physics has proven that the field, everything is connected. Everything is connected.
Exactly.
And so whatever happens anywhere else, it's going to affect people and things everywhere else.
Right. So if everybody, more people are looking for peace, doing good in the world, helping others, supporting others, and then that just exponentially floods and grows around the world. So it's absolutely possible. And the other thing that I love is one of the quickest ways to get yourself out of being down in the dumps is to actually go out and help another human being or smile at someone and have them smile back at you, because it has that effect. You smile at someone, they can't help but smile back at you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good.
And it just spreads.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's, thank you for all that. Well, let's talk about your project called Girls Matter and how you came to do it and what it's all about.
Sure, I would love to. Thank you. So this came about because about 10 years ago, I took my Girl Guides, and in the States, you call them Girl Scouts. So I've been a Girl Scout leader for 20 years. And I took them to watch a documentary called Girls Rising at our local library. And it was a wonderful documentary highlighting the plight of girls in many different countries around the world to be entitled to go to school. They were fighting to go to school and being turned away simply because they were a girl. And I watched this documentary with tears streaming down my face, because I knew that every girl in the room with me had at some point wished they didn't have to go to school, complained about going to school, begged their parents not to have to go to school, myself included, my own 2 children in the room included, right? And I've traveled a lot, as I said earlier, and I've traveled in many third world countries, and I've seen how other people live. And that documentary just really hit home for me that it's time to stop this. Enough is enough. Education should be a right, not a privilege.
Right.
And I wanted to make a change, but I didn't know how to start. So I had it kind of percolating in the back of my mind. And a couple of years later, I attended a conference where one of the speakers said, all humans are put on this planet in order to find their passion, serve others, and never stop learning. And you don't have to know the how, you just have to know the why, and the how will come. And again, that really resonated with me, because I realized I didn't know how to start a nonprofit. I didn't know how to help the girls, but if I just started speaking about it, the answers would come. And so that's what I started doing. And I actually called friends who had a nonprofit and told them what I wanted to do and asked them, how do I start a nonprofit? And they said, well, we love what you want to do. We're going to do it with you. And they already profits. So
Uh,
they said, why
uh,
don't you piggyback on ours? They were already working in Uganda and in Nepal. They built preschools and were helping educate children at a younger level because the elementary schools were so full. Kids were slipping through the cracks and coming out of elementary school still illiterate. So if you teach them younger in preschool, then they get into school with a better foundation and they can make their way through elementary school. And now I was coming in and supporting the girls and getting through high school and university. And so that's what we've been doing ever since. And we sponsor the girls. We work with the teaching staff in the village who know all of the girls in the village. They know the ones that are in need of support, as well as have the academic aptitude to complete high school and go on to university. And in doing so, we are making a profound difference in a number of ways. First of all, we're stopping teenage marriages because very often the girls are from large families with 6, 8, 11 kids, and school is not free in these third world countries. So when the parents can't afford school anymore, they will very often marry off the girls so that the girls are no longer the responsibility and they just pay for the boys to go to school. So we're stopping teenage marriages. We're also breaking the poverty cycle and stopping the girls from repeating the poverty cycles of their mothers. And we're doing this one girl, one family, one village at a time. And the other mission that we're doing is keeping the girls in school every day of the month because they don't have access to menstrual supplies. So right now, many of them miss 1 week of school every month, even when they get to go to school. They're still missing a week every month because they don't have menstrual supplies. So we have a fundraiser going right now through GoFundMe to raise the money to support girls with menstrual supplies, while we also seek sponsors to pay for the girls' education. And it doesn't cost much, relatively speaking, to what it costs in North America. So for high school, it's about 1,200 Canadian dollars. So that's less than $1,000 US per year for a girl of high school. And that's boarding school. And it includes her education, all of her meals, her living, her school supplies, her uniform, et cetera, everything she needs for the whole year. Wow. And then university is anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 a year Canadian. So US, it's probably like $1,200 to $1,500. Again, including room and board, meals, everything, versus what people pay in Canada and the US per term for university, which is significantly more. Right. But we're giving these girls an education that allow them to then go out into the world and have a job and create their own income. And the beautiful thing is that they always then give back to their community. And we see that as well with the girls that we've already had go through university. You know, they go back into the village and they might help some of the elders with, you know, government paperwork, opening a bank account because the elders aren't literate. And so they'll help in that way. We've had one girl who's finishing her last year of high school. She's going to a vocational school and becoming a seamstress. And she's taught the villagers how to silk screen t-shirts. She's making clothing, you know, and bags, and she's able to sell them at the market. So we know she will always have an income moving forward, and that gives her independence. So
I just want to add, just help one person, and it's actually it's exponentially, because just like you said, that most people are so grateful that they give back and they help to more people, and then it just spreads. Yeah.
Exactly. So I really love this work, and we've started working in Uganda in a small village of Buyaya near the town of Sironko. We've partnered with another organization in Kenya called the Jolly Sisters, and they work with the women and girls from one of the biggest slums in Nairobi area. And they help the women learn skills so that they can earn an income. And those women are sewing menstrual pads there. They're making gift cards, like decorative cards that are being sold online, because we can do that in today's world, as well as learning skills to run a market stall. So they're learning how to generate an income for themselves and, again, have independence. And then we are supporting the girls of those women in getting their education and making sure that they're getting to a good school versus the overflowing public schools where people fall through the cracks and come out illiterate. Wow. And next, we also, in 2023, we plan to go into Nepal because my partners have the preschool in Nepal, and now we want to support the girls in the village in that area in Nepal. So these are areas where there aren't any other nonprofit organizations helping out. So they're, we're really the only foreign aid that's coming into these very, very remote
Wow.
areas that we're helping
Wow.
with,
Wow.
and making a difference in the lives of the girls as well as the entire village. And we just had, in December, I had the teaching staff come to me and say, you help stop teenage marriages. We have 2 girls in a family of 8. The parents have sold everything. They have no more money to pay their school fees, and they've said they're going to have to marry them off. And we don't want to see that. We actually want to see them complete their education. Can you support us? And so, again, this is where the universe always gives back, because I didn't have XX funds. I wasn't planning on having these 2 girls to support. And the following day, I received an email from a friend of mine, and I was in a networking group with him pre-pandemic. And he said, did you know we still have $4,000 sitting in our bank account? And I didn't know that. And what we ended up doing with the secretary and the treasurer and myself all agreed that we would do some good by supporting these 2 girls. And we could also do some good by supporting our local Whistler Community Services. And so we shared the funds across both, and because we would have had no way to be able to refund those monies to the people that had originally paid them this many years later. And that money had just sat there for the last 3 years. We didn't even know it was there.
See, that's some great news. That's some really good news. And again, see, just a story like yours, that should be on the nightly news. That should be, people would be uplifted and inspired and say, hey, maybe I can do something as well. So, but also, I just want to ask you, isn't it amazing when you first got started, you had one idea, well, we're going to do this one thing, and now look all the things, how it just multiplies. That's so good. Yeah, so cool.
It does. It
Yeah.
absolutely does. And I'm getting more and more connections to different people. I just met with a lady yesterday who's in California, and she has a networking organization, and she always believes in giving back to women, supporting women's groups. She's always had it on her, wish list when she had time to be supporting girls in education. And she's originally from Kazakhstan, and she said, I want to help you guys. So we have a live event coming up March 10th. I want to fundraise for you guys. And she said, actually, I might even like to, join your board of directors and help in a bigger way. Wow. And so it's amazing right now how people are coming out of the woodwork and really interested in this. And the reason that I didn't contribute to another organization and wanted to start my own is that I find, unfortunately, a lot of organizations, when you contribute money to them, not all the money gets to where you want it to go. A lot of money is in their admin expenses. A lot of money is in sending, you send a donation and they send you something in return, address labels or cards or whatever it is. Right. My attitude is I want the money to go to the cause that I'm supporting, because that's where it's needed. I don't need more address labels. I don't need more cards, right?
Right.
So that's what we do, is 100% of the funds donated go to the girls.
That's so good.
I don't send you a thank you gift, because I don't think you really need my thank you gift. The girls need the money more.
Yeah, that's so good. That's such a great story. And yeah, it's so true. I think the real message for people is that anybody can make a contribution in any way. You don't have to, like you do, and really get out there and have the energy and the ability to start your own fund, but you can support other people's, and even the smallest way makes a difference. And so, in addition to, if they just go to GoFundMe and search for Girls Matter, is that where they find it?
Well, I've dropped the link in the chat here, and we can put it in the show notes, etc. Yeah. Okay, I don't know. If perhaps I haven't actually gone on to GoFundMe. I could do it right now as we're chatting to see if I go there.
Yeah, if I just go to it and pull it up, right?
Yeah.
And then also, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, and also, how can they contact you? Just like if somebody else wants to get involved with your organization.
The best way to reach me is at jumblebug@gmail.com. That's my personal email address that I use with Girls Matter, and it doesn't have an E in it. So it's JUMBLBUG@gmail.com.
Okay. And we'll put that
I did just go to Yeah, thank you. I did just go to GoFundMe and search Girls Matter, and our menstrual pads for girls in Africa fundraiser is showing up. So,
Oh,
yes, you
great.
can absolutely do that.
Great.
And what I want people to know is that just $10 makes a difference. For $10, you can support a girl for an entire year with the supplies that she needs in Kenya. And for $20, you can provide a girl in Uganda with the supplies that she needs for her entire high school education. So
Wow.
it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
But if we share and we share and we share, and more people know about this, and everybody contributes 10 or $20, we can raise the funds we need to support these girls. And, what woman out there in the world today would want their life to come to a standstill simply because they have their cycle?
Yeah.
In North
Yeah.
America, it doesn't stop us. We keep going about our lives. We go to school, we go to work, we play sports and everything, right? But in other countries, your life stops and you stay home.
Wow. Yeah. So good. So good, Melissa. Well, okay, so we'll put how people can contact you and how they can get involved with your on your GoFundMe project. And
And they can
I
also go to the website, which is simply
oh, oh
girlsmatter.ca.
okay, good. That is so good. So before we wrap it up here, what would you say again? I know we've already actually said it, but just kind of sum it up. Uh, how you can inspire people to get involved even if it's the smallest way that everybody needs and everybody can contribute in some way. And so, how can you inspire people or motivate them to do something, get out there and help to make a difference?
Yeah, is find something that matters to you. So whatever that is that brings joy to your heart, maybe it's, helping with, breast cancer or selling daffodils for, breast cancer, whatever it is that matters for you. Maybe it's supporting veterans. Find something that matters to you and reach out to them and find out how you can support it. And because you're finding something that matters for you, you will also find that you make some really good friends out of it because they're like-minded people, because they're in an area that matters to them.
Such a good point. Yeah.
And so you make great friendships out of it. Some of my best friends are the Girl Guide leaders that I've worked with for the last 20 years, and we became great friends. We all joined individually, met that way, and have continued our friendship because, we love camping, we love the outdoors, we love working with kids, and we have all of that in common. And so it's just a really solid foundation for wonderful friendships.
Wow. Well, Melissa, thank you so much, and thank you for your great work that you're doing, and thanks for being on here. I really appreciate it. And I just want to say, I think to sum the whole thing up, really is to realize that you matter, and everything you think and do and matters, and so that's the mindset that we all have to get, that you can make a difference. Everybody can make a difference, and you just have to step up and do it. And again, if you just take a moment to just imagine, I mean, what an amazing world it could be if we were all living in peace, we were collaborating instead of competing, and just save competition for sports, and just we were sharing all the resources and all the information, and it could be a really a prosperous, joyful, healthy, exciting world for everybody. And I like to always bring out too is that I think how creative we are as human beings, and look at all the things that we've created: music and art and just some technology, amazing things. But yet, it's only been a small percentage of the population that's been able to be in a position to be creative, right? Look at the masses; they're just still into survival.
Exactly.
But think about if everybody was able to use their creative talent and ability, it would be mind blowing what kind of a world that we could have. So yeah.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that's a really good point, is don't ever think that your contribution isn't enough, right? You start somewhere. And I don't remember that exact quote, but it was something along the lines of you know, the impact of the power of one person. Don't think that you can't change the world, because in fact, it's the only thing that ever has, is always starts with
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Just
Somebody like like Gandhi, or somebody said that, or somebody,
Exactly.
someone said that. That's right. That's so good. So I'm gonna again. So I really recommend that check out what Melissa's doing. Again, we'll give you all those places where you can find that out. And I just want to end this. I don't know if I told you this before, but I got this from a spiritual teacher that I know of. It said that, we've been on the earth, human beings have been on the earth for 200,000 years. So in order to gauge how far we've advanced in those 200,000 years, if you use the analogy of a lifetime from 0 to say to 80, we're only like teenagers. That's about as far as we've gotten. So it's time for us to become adults and wake up and become adults, don't you think?
I agree. I agree. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yes.
All right. So if you enjoyed this episode of the Great News Podcast, be sure and go to our page, ageleslivinglifestyle.com/podcast, and subscribe to our podcast and let everyone know about the Great News Podcast. So if you didn't like today's news, go out and make some of your own. Thank you,
Love
Melissa.
that.
That was so good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rico.